Now, hey everyone, GameHounds,
No.
nice to see you. What?
Nothing.
GameHounds podcast, welcome to the show. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the show, and if you're watching the show, hit a thumbs up. So yeah, we're just
we're all
talking.
inside Edie's head.
Yeah, you're inside my head, and we're talking about Crusader Kings before the show because there's no reason for me to talk during the show. Nick and Andrew want me to now that I have conquered so much territory. Nick and Andrew want me to start inbreeding.
Well, you specifically said that you created like this
It's
beautiful
really
royal bloodline of
I did, and
Amazon
giants,
beautiful giants.
Divine too.
And that you've married them off to so many people that you're legitimately having a hard time not inbreeding. So we're like, well, fuck, that bloodline sounds so good. Just go with it. Just go with the flow and fuck your cousin.
And it's ordained by God. I got my bloodline consecrated as well.
Exactly. See?
I started 2 universities. I have the University of Oxford and the University of Cambridge now.
It's your divine right to be able to sleep with your sister. That's all.
Because that worked out so well in the past.
It's expected. It's demanded.
But I'm not going to talk much about Creation Kings other than the fact that I think I am at least not the feudal age, not the tribal age that we're playing with. I still haven't figured out that Scandinavian Scandinavian elective thing. I cannot freaking figure it out. We just might have to like vote somebody in and then take them over later. And we've been using StreamYard, and I've been trying to figure out how to use StreamYard to stream the game that will allow it to have the audio. So it's not just because it adds a lot to have the audio in the background. I think I'm going to have to just switch over to ODS and off of StreamYard for streaming.
Question. You've mentioned that like with YouTube videos, you can add sound. Like, is that just... Can you just stream your screen as you're playing? Like, would the sound just come through?
No, that's the problem is that if you can share audio with a Chrome tab, but you cannot share audio with an application. And the game is an application. Now, if it was if a game I could put on Chrome, then yeah, but I can't put it on Chrome.
Okay, then this might get a little out of hand, but basically streaming from OBS to Twitch, and then just having that Twitch page being streamed through Streamlabs.
If I'm going to do OBS, I might as well just stream through OBS because OBS can handle both the my audio and video and also the game. It's adding an unnecessary stuff. If I'm using OBS, I might as well just use the OBS to do streaming for games at least.
Okay.
And it all goes to the same place. It's not like YouTube is not going to be able to see like it's.
Yeah,
we're going to have to hunt down the stream. It's all going to go to the same platforms.
And you can always throw up like a multi-Twitch if you're playing with like me or Nick as well.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Of course, it just means that I have to learn OBS. Hey, Ryan Stevenson in the chat room. We got AC Wraith in the chat room. So yeah. I mean, because I really want to get into Ivar the Boneless because I have, in lieu of me also researching about how to get the sound through StreamYard and realizing it can't be done. I am going to I have been researching the actual history of Ivar the Boneless. Very, very interesting.
Is that a real person?
Ivar the Boneless? Absolutely, it was a real person. That is the son. He's considered. He's considered probably one of the greatest military strategists of all time. Right up there with like Alexander the Great, and William the Conqueror. if there is one person that made a significant impact to England and what England is today, it is Ivar the Boneless. He was the son of Ragnar. Ragnar.
He's the one that got
Holbrook?
with the snakes. You said killed by snakes, thrown into a
Killed by
snake pit?
snakes. Right. It's the Vikings. The show Vikings is essentially the story of Ragnar, and then converts into the story of his brothers, Ivar, Uba, and I forget the third brother.
Was Ivar the Boneless actually a character in Vikings?
Yes.
Oh shit! I should watch that show.
Oh, yes. You should watch
I've heard
that
good things
show.
about it. Is it on Netflix?
Yes.
It is.
Oh my God. I believe it is. Yes.
Okay.
It is really, really good.
I want to finish. I want to finish Black Sails first because I have one more season and I've been putting it off. But I've heard that in the tradition of Game of Thrones, what your highly political kind of medieval-esque things. You've got Black Sails was one of the good ones, and everyone else I saw has recommended The Last Kingdom that is on Netflix and Vikings. So it's like Black Sails, Vikings, and The Last Kingdom. If you want a good Game of Thrones, not fantasy, but sword and sandals, politicking. Those are all
Sword
good
and
shows.
sandals.
Yeah, you haven't heard that genre before? It's typically referred to like gladiator genres, like Gladiator, Spartacus. They're sword and sandals movies. There was a lot of them, like back in the like the days when movies were way more restricted in what they could show. Sword and sandals was a way of like, let's make a movie about the Bible that lets us have like a lot of good gladiatorial action and violence. But it's based on the Bible, so it's all
right. It's biblical violence. So it's all right.
And so it was like the sword and sandals genre. And so I'm just kind of expanding that to be like include Vikings and stuff.
God dang it. Oh, because I've got the
wrong. Ryan Stevens said the first few seasons are on Netflix.
So the first few seasons are really, really, really good.
All I need is a few seasons, and then I can track down the rest after that if it's really good.
Yeah, it is. It is, and it's worth.
Wait, did it finish?
I think it just finished up. We stopped watching, I want to say, after series 3, season 3. It was good, and then it kind of sort of jumped the shark. So yeah, here's a scene from
oh man, I can get seasons 1 through 5 for only like $50.
Yeah, it's good. See, that's Ivar the Boneless to the right. He is cripple, and the nobody. I mean, because of course the Norse didn't write anything down. I think that's Uba.
And AC Ray says the whole thing is on Prime.
Okay, good. So yeah, Ivar the Boneless was cripple. They don't really know. There's a lot of discussion of whether Ivar was had I think it's some genetic disease that was called brittle bone disease. There very little surviving written stuff because the Norse didn't write anything down, and the Norse the one place where they did write shit down, which was in the monasteries in England, of course, the Vikings raided and burnt everything. So there's very little surviving. So there's a lot of stuff that does talk about it, and what we know about them is really usually stuff that is written by other people, like secondhand accounts, or someone taking old original documents that they had that have no longer survived and interpreting them. So it's like stories about stories about stories. But the thing that makes people think he was actually crippled was because he was called Ivar the Boneless, and there was discussion of how he had no bones. And that's why he's known as Ivar the Boneless. But also that there was a passage where they described carrying his his guard carried him into battle on a shield, like men holding a shield with Ivar on top of it, and that's how he was carried into battle.
There are probably spoilers going on
here.
Yeah.
Are there?
Isn't this
okay.
like?
I don't know.
This like season 6?
No. This is. I don't think they're. Maybe. I don't know. Anyway.
Okay. It is season 6.
Yeah. Sorry.
Jesus, CD. Although thankfully, I'll forget that by the time I actually get around.
There's
to
nothing.
it.
What did you know? This is not a spoiler.
I saw people fighting.
People fighting. Oh my god, people are fighting.
There's combat in Vikings. Jesus.
So yeah, Ivar the Boneless was a absolute.
Oh shit! There's a sequel series. So I guess it ended with season 6, but there's going to be a sequel series that is on Netflix.
Yeah. But he came in to he was the first Viking that came to England, whereas previous to Ivar, Vikings had been raiding along the coasts of England and just, they'd hit and run. They just come over. This was like their, summer retreat. They would go out, they would grab a bunch of loot, they would go back to Scandinavia, and then they'd come back the next summer. Maybe it was the same place, maybe it was a different place, but Viking raids but they would always leave.
So Ivar was the one who tried to create a community there?
Ivar was the first one who came over and said, I like this place and I'm going to stay. And
that sounds suspiciously like the premise for Assassin's Creed Vikings.
It probably is exactly this.
It'll be interesting to see. Maybe I should start watching Vikings, because with the Ivar playthrough, they're just like this coincidental coalescence of all things Viking.
When you think about stuff with Vikings, you're thinking about Ivar.
Yeah. Okay. So he's like. Okay. So he
is the Viking.
Interesting.
On just related to that, not really news, but just kind of pop culture stuff. There's a manga called Vinland Saga or
Vinland.
Vinland Saga. It's I've
heard of that.
Yeah, there's an anime on it that's apparently really good. It's a set of old manga that were like, it's along with Berserk, if you've ever heard of that. Basically old, like, warrior army, like Game of Thrones-esque manga. There's a category for it. Well, they're having a crossover with Assassin's Creed Valhalla in that manga.
What?
Yeah.
What?
Yep.
Assassin's Creed and Vinland Saga of all things? What?
Yep.
How?
I don't know. He must know.
What weird ass shit is this? Like, I'm for it. It's just like, I wouldn't, if you've given me a million guesses of what they would cross over with, I would not have guessed that.
I don't know the details about it, only that it is happening. So maybe this Vikings crossover is a legitimate crossover with the Valhalla game.
That's Ivar the Boneless in the television show.
He looks happy.
Oh, he's fucking deranged.
Yeah, I guess it's okay, go on. Sorry.
Anyways,
okay, so apparently it's a short story. It's being made by the manga's creator, and it's going to release in November.
Yeah, so I thought that'd be perfect time to mention that.
That's so fucking weird. Well, shit, maybe I should check out Vinland Saga. Where's that?
Amazon Prime, the anime, anyways. Apparently,
yeah. Is it actually like part of Prime, or is it part of the? Hey, if you get this extra anime package with Prime, you can
just Prime.
Okay, good. Okay, maybe I'll check that out. Well, shit, I've already got So many things to watch.
You're about to go through a Vikings phase, and like everything's gonna change on the back of your wall. The Viking stuff. You're gonna
Vikings
come
are
on
the new Nazis.
No, it's still gonna be the Shadow of the Colossus. But
gonna
I
show
mean,
up with a Viking helmet. Just
yeah,
one day.
maybe.
Yeah, there is a deadline on spoilers. 3 to 4 years.
No, I still haven't seen Star Wars, so if you spoil that for me, I'll be upset. Like the classic ones.
Oh yeah.
Or if you
Yeah, actually, AC Wright, you're right. The Vikings have become kind of the current Nazis' dog whistle.
Yeah,
it's a shame.
But in happier things, I recently stumbled across completely randomly on the YouTube app something called I forget who did it, but it was like the name of the video was like a laser space base or something like that, and someone took the Star Wars movies, and from what I can tell, they've done all 9 so far, and they basically re-edited it and redubbed it into a parody of itself. Like I watched the first scene of the first movie, and instead of the people, lining up in the hallways and then the doors blast open, the stormtroopers come in, they lined up, and instead there's like a knock on the door where a guy's like, "Hey, you can't have parties in here. This is all of you. You're making me do this. Open up." All right, fine. I'm gonna blast the door down, and then it cuts away like C-3PO, and then when it cuts back, the door is already blown up, and all the guys are dead, and Darth Vader comes out, and he's like, "What the fuck happened here?" And it's like, they didn't get back when we blew the door, and now they all died. It's like, God damn it. And when Darth Vader confronts Leia, it's like, I was sending you to space college, and now you're out here on this party ship. What the fuck? And she's like, "You don't know me, Dad." He's like, "Get out of here." So I really want to see.
Where is that? Where can you find that?
It's on YouTube. Laser space YouTube.
Corey Wallace has just ruined so much of Star Wars for me. He spoiled it, and now I'm very upset. Apparently, Darth Vader is Anakin Skywalker and Luke and Leia's father.
Yeah.
Wow, mind blown.
Also, there is conjecture that Ivar the Boneless was actually impotent, and that was why it was known as the Boneless, and it was a mistranslation. We don't know. We don't know anything
boneless
about
meant he couldn't get a boner?
There's a lot of conjecture about what exactly he had, because of course they don't have his body. He's somewhere, don't know where.
Okay.
All right.
We can start the show. I will find this video and I will interrupt the show to let you know what it is.
Okay, let's start it then.
I need to go through my history.
Technology, and these podcasters are big fat potty mouths. If you're younger than 18 or are easily offended, please stop this podcast now. Oh, and your mom says to take out the trash and do your homework.
All right, mics are hot. Hello and welcome to GameHounds. GameHounds episode 568. We are recording this on Sunday, October 25th, 2020. I'm here, Edie Sellers, and with me is Andrew Smith and Nick DeNicola, as they always are. How are you? How was your week?
I'm good. So I forgot to say this last week, so I'm going to say it this week.
Okay.
I have another short story that was published, and the anthology is now out for sale. It went on sale on the 19th. It is called Sick Cruising. You can find it on Amazon.
Sick Cruising?
Sick Cruising. And it's basically about some rich asshole who, during a plague, decides to go out on a cruise ship with his rich friends as a means of just partying and being like, fuck the plague. And of course, there's an outbreak. So it's all the stories are kind of written based on that premise.
Oh, like the entire collection is just that idea, and everyone doing their own take on it.
Yes, like the way it worked is like they had a list of characters that you could choose from, and I chose this one character and wrote a story about him, and other people chose other characters and wrote. So it's kind of like a writing prompt where different writers could get prompted of the backstories of like, this is the character's backstory. What are they doing on the ship? And so everyone kind of wrote on their own. But
that's pretty awesome, though.
Yeah. So Sick Cruising, only $5 on Kindle.
And let's see if
And
we can find your
AC
name
Wraith is
here.
right. No, go up. If you go up to the top and you click on you have to go to Kindle, I think.
Uh-huh.
Go to the Kindle version. And then if you go to more at the Sick Cruising by Notch's Publishing House, my name will actually be there.
Nick DiNicola, there it is right there, baby.
Yes.
You
actually have a link now. And this is your only thing on your link. You need to start up your Kindle page, my friend.
I do. I have a Kindle page. It has other things on it. I wonder why that's the only thing that pops up.
Yep. Your Nick DiNicola page, that's the only thing that shows up.
At discount, hashtag Nick's Poor saves you 0%.
Nick gets an email telling that someone bought the book for him. It makes him feel good.
Yeah.
So let's see if you're there we go. Children Included by Nick DiNicola. That is your contribution to this anthology.
Yep. So go buy it.
I might just go do that because I'm kind of curious to see what you wrote.
Yeah, do it.
So yeah, you can find it by looking up Sick Cruising, and you can see it right there on Amazon. And it is $4.99 for a Kindle. The paperback is $10.
Yep.
Well worth it. Let's see. I'm going to go follow the authors.
You need to make your page.
I don't see your page on here.
Because I do have a Kindle authors page. Oh, there's like a.
I look up Nick DiNicola, and this is what I get. Carly Volume 1, La Chicas del Reggaeton, Season 5 of SpongeBob SquarePants.
It's complicated.
Oh, it is. Hey, you. I wrote that SpongeBob thing. Los Chicas de Reggaeton? Yeah, that's me.
So, how you guys been? How was your week?
Good.
We're not on fire, but we're gonna be by tomorrow.
Well, we're about to get our first snow, so.
Jeez.
Want to trade?
Yes, I do. Very, very, very much so. So the wind tonight is going to be so bad, and it is so dry right now, and it is so scary that they're telling people that live in the hills of Berkeley to preemptively evacuate. Just get out of your house this weekend. They're calling it a 20-year wind event here, which is going to be awesome. Something's going to go on fire, and it's going to take out a lot of people. Corey Wallace says, no snow in Iowa. We've got hit twice already in Minnesota. Yeah, but that's Minnesota, dude. Do you ever defrost? Yeah, actually, I take that back. You defrost, and then it goes to like 100% humidity and 90 degrees, and then it goes back to snow.
Thankfully, that's only like a week.
Thank you for the Cal Fire map. Yeah, we're not on fire right now. Not a lot going on in the fires. So
finally out.
Yeah, they're finally out. Well, they're finally all pretty much contained. They're in hand. They're not necessarily out. It takes a while for those to go out. Most of them won't. The big one, the over 1 million acre one fire was 1 million acres. It's going to take a while for that one to go out. Pretty much after the rainy season, then it'll be out. So yeah, what you guys been playing?
Well, first, I signed up for Game Pass because last week I talked about the process of getting Game Pass and how you could get gold subscriptions and convert it to Game Pass for real cheap. I went through that process. There's I don't want to say a catch, but there is a little thing, a little hiccup that people should be aware of when doing this. So when you're converting your gold to Game Pass, they say that they can convert a maximum of 36 months, which comes out to 3 years. What they don't say is that the reason for that limit is that 36 months is the maximum Xbox Gold you can prepay for at all. So if you buy 3 years of gold, you can only have 36 months prepaid. You cannot go above that. The system won't let you. So I went on Amazon. I bought 3 12 months gold subscriptions. I go to Xbox and I put in the codes. I put in code 1, and it asks you to do something. Once you put in the code, it says, oh, this is for 12 months Xbox Live. If you sign up for recurring payments after this subscription ends, you'll get an extra month free. And I'm like, okay, that sounds pretty good. So I kept that checkbox clicked because it's a checkbox. You can turn that off. Turn that off. You want to turn that off. I signed up for that extra month. So now instead of getting 12 months, I got 13. Put in the second code, did the same thing, got 13 months. So I'm up to, what would that be? That'd be 26 months. I put in the third code and it said, oh, I'm sorry, you've exceeded the 36-month limit.
Because you had the extra 2 months.
Because I had the 2 months and I tried to put in 12 months. It was like, no, you're going too far. And from what I could tell, searching the help forums, is there's no real way around this. So I ended up converting the 26 months that I had and using my gold pass to get an extra 4 months instead of an extra 12.
Oh.
So it still worked out because I got a total of 20, because I got 26 plus 4. So I got a total of 30 months for about $200, which still comes out to more than 50% off of Game Pass. So it's still a significant savings. But if you do this route and you buy 3 years of gold to convert it all at once, do not sign up for recurring payments. Do not accept the extra free month that Microsoft is offering you, because it will put you over the limit and you won't be able to use that 3rd year.
Right. Good
oh, wait,
to
Ryan
know.
Stevens said he called an number and they worked it out. They took off the extra months. Well, that's good to know. I didn't go through that. Like I was at that point I was like, oh, whatever, fuck it. Because I looked on help forums and the help forums were all, no, this is just the way it is. Sorry. So I guess you can fix it, but PSA, if you go
just
through
don't
this
do
process,
it in the first place, and you won't have to make that phone call.
Just uncheck that checkbox. Don't get that free month, and then you can sign up for it. And yeah, it will let you convert the 3 years of gold to 3 years of Game Pass for just $1. That program is still going on. I was able to do it just fine. And even though I have a bad computer, I have the Game Pass app, and I started downloading like little indie games. It's like, there's a $10, $20 indie game, and I just started fucking playing them. And I have like 10 games downloaded already, and I started playing through a bunch of them. And it's a really good system, because I'm looking at it thinking there are multiple games that I've already bought on PlayStation or Switch that are now on Game Pass. I'm like, oh shit, I could have saved myself like in total a lot of money, because it's like A Plague Tale is on there, Carrion is on there, a bunch of other ones. But what I ended up playing is another 2D pixelated Souls-like game. After playing Blasphemous and really enjoying Blasphemous for a lot, I had my eye on this game called Death's Gambit on PlayStation for a while. I've been waiting for it to go on sale. So when I saw that it was a Game Pass game, I immediately downloaded it and started playing. And it's not as good as Blasphemous. Blasphemous just felt better. The world was way more interesting. Death's Gambit is it's a good one of these games, but I find that the controls are a little weird because every time you attack, you scoot forward a little bit. And so that puts you in a lot of situations in fights where I'm trying to stay out of the enemy's range, but every time I attack, I go just into their range. So it's always it feels a little finicky. And the world, the construction of the world and the way that it's laid out feels a little confusing. Like, I'm going to keep going up and to the left, and it kind of keeps throwing new environments at me, but I'm just not entirely sure where I'm supposed to be going. I fought a bunch of bosses. I'm just not sure like where the progression is, right? Blasphemous was nice because it had a map, because at a certain point Blasphemous was more Metroidvania than Dark Souls. And so the fact that it had a map was nice because I could immediately look at it and go, oh, I should be going in this direction. Whereas with Death's Gambit, I'm thinking, have I been all the way to the left? Like, I've gone to the left a bunch and I killed the boss there, but is there a different door that I missed? Should I go to the left? Well, if I want to find out, I have to fight through this whole area again. What about to the right? And so it's kind of confusing in that regard. But it looks really pretty. I think the combat does hold up. It's an interesting world that kind of doesn't take itself too seriously. Like, the premise is that you're the soldier that can't die because death has resurrected you and will keep resurrecting you for some purpose. Like, the title is actually really appropriate. I guess there's this king or this leader in a walled city who death wants to get to, and you are his gambit to get there, right? You are death's like plan in order to get through this walled city and get to this leader that he can't get to. So you're death's gambit. But in a flashback, where the flashback has you as a kid talking to like your sister or your mother before she goes off to the battle, and it's like, oh, this is probably the last time that he sees her. Typical flashback. But then the kid, goes into the house and death is there in the kitchen cooking a meal with an apron on. And death is like, oh yeah, you're like, what the fuck are you doing here? Death, gives some spiel, but he's just sitting there with an apron on, and then you wake up and you come back to life. And so it's, for all of its trappings of dark fantasy, there's also very clearly a sense of humor that the game has about itself, which is kind of, it's fun. So I'm enjoying it. I definitely want to continue playing it, because even if it doesn't hold up to the level of Blasphemous, I'm still having a good time with it.
And the fact that it's like part of just Game Pass,
and the fact that it's part of Game Pass, that this is a game I've been waiting to play, like watching to go on sale on PlayStation for a solid year, and it's just, oh, it's on Game Pass, download. And the same thing is with a roguelike called Enter the Gungeon. This is something I played at PAX a long time ago, and I thought, oh, this is really fun. But, me personally, I just don't really like roguelikes, and so I don't really want to invest the money in another roguelike. But Enter the Gungeon was really fun, and it kind of had like a good goofy sense of humor about itself, because a lot of the enemies that you're fighting are like sentient bullets. It's like, oh, here's a pistol shell walking around with a pistol. Here's a shotgun shell walking around with a shotgun. And so I was able to download that and play that, and it turns out to be a really fun game. I don't know how much I would have enjoyed it if I paid like $10 or $12 for it, because it is a roguelike in a lot of the ways that not even a roguelite where you slowly improve your character. It is a full-on roguelike where your character and your stats go back to 1 when you die. But being just a part of Game Pass and being just a game that I can download and have some fun with, I've really, really enjoyed my time with it. And then let me check. The third thing that I put a lot of time into, where is it? Where is it? Oh, is a weird but neat and fun game called Lonely Mountain Downhill. And you should, if you can Google, if you can put the video of this one up, it looks really cool. It's almost like a relaxing trials game because it's all about you going down the mountain on a bike. And it has this really, really cool, like low poly 3D tilt shift aesthetic. So it almost looks like there's a camera on a like a train model mountain, and the camera is like really close and following you downhill. So it looks like a miniature model, but low polygon. And then you're going down it, and the way that it works is you're going to go down the same path multiple times. The first time is you're not under any sort of time limit. You're not under any sort of crash restriction. It's just go down the path and get to the bottom. And so it really is just kind of this relaxing bike ride through. And yeah, there are jumps and there are twists and you'll crash, but like there's really no penalty. So you're just going down and exploring and kind of getting this cool tilt shift mountain. Once you do that, you're going to go down again, but it says get down in 3 minutes or crash less than 30 times. And those are fairly easy to do. But then once you do those, it's like, okay, now get through in 2 minutes. Now crash less than 10 times. So it keeps putting harder and harder challenges on you. But it presents those challenges only after you've gone down the mountain enough times that you start realizing, oh, there are different shortcuts on this mountain. Like right in this video, he could totally cut left down this hill, down this rocky area, and cut off like a good 10 seconds of his run. Just the act of going through the mountain more and more times, you start to learn it, and so you'll just crash less. And so it presents its difficulty in a nice ramp up, where once it starts getting really tough, it does feel like a trials game where I'm trying to get over this jump, and I'm just dying and trying to do it over and over and over again in the way that you would a trials game. But it only gets to that part after I've gone down a bunch of times. And what's nice is the mountain you're seeing now is just the first mountain. It actually does unlock new mountains that have completely different aesthetics. This one right here is kind of your typical very gray and green mountain. You've got some blue water, a lot of gray rocks and green grass, and that's sort of the color motif of it. The next mountain is completely different, where it's filled with orange and red, like autumn colors, and it looks, a classic November autumn color scheme, and it's just a completely different aesthetic than the first one. And so that makes me excited to unlock the third mountain, because I assume the third mountain will feel completely different.
I'm thinking it's probably going to be snow, be winter.
Snow sounds like a logical extension, or maybe something at night, like that's darken the color palette a lot. But yeah, I've had a lot of fun with this. It's a fun game it's as challenging as you want it to be, because I've been able to unlock a lot of things without completing those expert difficulties. But I know, like, if I want to sit down and fucking trials my way through those expert difficulties, like, it's there. So it's nice that the game will let you progress through it while only staying with like the exploratory or the beginner difficulties. You don't have to do the expert things, but it is there. So it's just neat that the difficulty is there if you want it. But then if you want to just ride down a hill, this lonely mountain, you can totally do that too. So yeah, a relaxing trials game is how I would describe it. And that's just one more thing of Game Pass. Like, Game Pass has a bunch of other things. The things that I downloaded that my crappy computer can run, Gris, which is a game that we saw at PAX, which is kind of this artsy platformer that looks really pretty. Download that. I want to get to it. My Friend Pedro, which we also saw at PAX, is on there. And surprisingly enough, my computer can run it. So that's cool. And then just a bunch of other little things games that I have heard of. Like a little sci-fi thing called Deliver Us the Moon that I saw play on Giant Bomb. So even with a bad computer, Game Pass offers like a pretty impressive wealth of things. If I had a better computer, I would be playing Crusader Kings 3 because it is on that pass. But
really?
I've checked and I cannot run it.
Yeah.
It might be interesting for me to download it just to see what happens. But yeah, like I could download Gears and Forza and all those things too. So
the minimum requirements can always be fudged a little. Like if you turn everything off, you can definitely still play.
Yeah.
You might not see any textures, but you can play.
So it might be worth it just to has a academic experiment.
Or upgrade your freaking computer so it can play a decent game now that you have Game Pass.
Yeah, you're a published author. You're making them big bucks.
I just spent $500 buying a fucking Xbox.
True.
That is my new gaming. That is my Game Pass PC. Is the fucking Series X.
Yeah.
Plus, I think there are more games on the console Game Pass than there are on PC Game Pass. Like there is a different library between the two.
Yeah.
So yeah, Game Pass is cool. Death's Gambit is cool. Lonely Mountain Downhill, super fun. Gungeon is goofy. And yeah, so that's what I've been playing. Every now and then I turn on the PlayStation to watch some TV apps, and I think I should go back to Genshin Impact. I really like that. And then I'm like, nah, but most of my gaming is now on the PC with the Game Pass. So now I'm just kind of killing time until the consoles come out, until I can get Game Pass on that Xbox.
Yep. So, Andrew, what games you been playing?
Yeah, not my shame. I've been way into League of Legends, and I'm still on that. I still don't do the normal game mode. I just do the one mode of like all random, all mid. But yeah, that's still a thing.
Yeah.
If anyone's listening who does like League of Legends, or if they're going to get back into it, the next season's coming out is like overhauling the item system in the game, which has been there for like 10 years. So it's taking this system that everyone has had their hands on, and they're increasing the power of items, changing everything, which is a rather huge deal for the game. Other than that, nothing really.
Yeah, and I'm still in Crusader Kings 3. It's
just League. What made you go to League now as opposed to Warframe or any of the other Psycho oh shit, what's the name of the game?
Phasmophobia.
Phasmophobia.
Phasmophobia is more of a like just fun party game. Like you get friends together, you play that a few times, you get good at it, and then you're like, okay, like I've experienced that. Which is, I think, is the thing for most horror games. And Warframe is a game all about progression with collecting stuff. Like you're building up your inventory, your items, your options, and that's good. But you run out of stuff to collect, or you run out of interest in collecting the next new thing. League of Legends scratches an itch of trying to get better at something. Like, it is not a progression in the sense that I am gaining anything from it, as much as I can notice my skill improving, and that makes the dopamine in my brain go off and makes me happy. And
it's just that thing that's always there to play, that it's not like you have a run out. You can't run out of League.
You can absolutely run out. Like, you can burn out a League hard. But I have friends who play, and we enjoy our company, and we don't take it too seriously. Like, when I'm getting better, I'm getting better at it casually.
Yeah.
And so when we have fun, it's us doing stupid shit. Stuff we're not supposed to be doing. And we might lose, but that's fine. Who cares? And that slow progression of skill that you don't even really notice as you play, but you eventually do notice. You notice little things where you're like, oh, I remember when I first started playing and I died immediately here, or I could not possibly do the things I'm doing now. And yeah, that's the entire reason I play.
Yeah, that's a good reason. I was just wondering why go back now as opposed to whenever. But if it's just that game that like is always there in the background. That's like, I'm gonna go play some of this now.
Yeah, no, it's okay. So I guess that was my bad. I went on a different tangent. But,
no, that's same question really.
There is no real like time. Like there wasn't anything that came out and I was like, I'm gonna play League today. It's just one of those games that I didn't play it when it first came out, and I've only played it a tiny bit over the years before this because there is a steep learning curve, and it is that game that you don't mention it in mixed company that you play League of
Legends. Yeah.
But it's been on a kick for me. Like I've just enjoyed trying to get better, and the games are quick-ish. That it's just piqued my interest. Like no real thing got me into it.
Yeah,
and then
cool.
friends.
Yeah, the kind of game that my friends are playing it, so I'm gonna hop on and play too.
Right.
Yeah.
I see someone playing.
Warframe's Halloween event was decent this year, AC Wraith says. It got me playing again and catching up in other areas. Is decent. It's still going on, he says.
And earlier, Corey mentioned the ESO Halloween event, which from what I understand did it start already?
Oh yeah.
Oh, it did? Okay. Maybe I'll go in and check that out.
They may have changed the Warframe event this year, but last year they tried to do something kind of spooky by turning off all the lights, and there's an enemy type called Infested, which are like deformed things that kind of charge at you, and they're invincible unless you go and pick up this lantern that only one person can carry, and you have to fight around that person as these things are charging you in the dark, kind of red and glowy. And
that sounds really cool.
Yeah.
That was last year's event. I don't know if they changed it this year, but yeah.
Yeah. Corey says it goes for 11 days, and it started on the 22nd.
Go ahead.
So it's going
was he talking about ESO or Warframe?
2nd. ESO, I'm sure.
Okay.
This is Corey.
Yeah. It looks like there's a free quest. I'm on their webpage. There's a free scary witches quest. So I'll have to hop back onto ESO to do that because that seems cool.
Yeah. AC Ray says this year it has to do with the new open area. You can do bounties, and there are special rewards that you can get from Daughter.
Yeah, so the new open world map is all of the infested stuff. So like it's an entire like living organism of a planet. And that seems like a really good place to have a Halloween event. On a side note, they actually have a quest line that's kind of horror-ish. And like you're walking around like an empty ship, and there's blood splattered on the walls. There's writing on the walls, and the entire time you're hearing rat, tat, tat, tat in your ears. And like you're trying to follow that to find out where like the spirit is. And it does a pretty good job.
Nice. All right. So anything else before we hit news? No? All right. Then let's hit the news. This is the GameHounds news, the news, views, and commentary of the week in gaming with Gamer Edie, Nick DeNicola, and Andrew Smith. And our first item is... Anyone?
Who wants to go first?
I will go first.
Andrew goes for, we're going to go alphabetical. Andrew, you're first.
Okay. Well, are we going first or last? Never mind. there's a debate that has apparently been going on for years and has recently been resparked, and that is, should streamers be required to give devs a cut of their profits, their proceeds from streaming? And part of that comes from the idea that they're gaining money off of a product, where most people would buy licenses to gain money off of like any type of software. They don't do that, and often they're given games for free, like to try out from the companies, or even just by like streamers or donations. And recently, a developer for a Stadia studio made a tweet that says that streamers should be paying developers and publishers of the games they stream. They should be buying a license like any real business and paying for the content they use. And Google like distanced themselves from that remark.
Oh, very, very rapidly. The guy's name is Alex Hutchinson, and he is a creative director at Montreal studio of Stadia Games and Entertainment. Yeah.
And apparently he had to go into his, they were doing damage control. Yeah. And they had, if you look at his account, they made him clarify exactly what he was. Because he was like, I am a creative director for Stadia. Like, just kind of loosely like, hey, I'm a developer for that. And they're like, no, you go in there and you say, a studio of Stadia, not the Stadia project.
Right.
Yeah, like his Twitch profile made him sound much more influential in the Stadia business than he is.
He said creative director for Stadia, and he wasn't really creative director for studio. He was a creative director for a Stadia studio.
Yes.
And I mean, whether or not you agree with him, I'm kind of curious of your guys' opinion on this. Because I feel like there could be an argument made, but I am against it personally.
Yes. I'm right there with you. Yeah, there's definitely, his tweet opened up an age-old discussion that has been talked about and then dismissed and then brought up again and then eventually gets dismissed, and it's being brought up now again. There's really two camps for this, and I can see both sides. In general, I think that that streamers should absolutely not pay for pay a cut to the developers of the games, and here's why. If I am a professional bike rider, I go buy my bike and then I ride that bike in a competition or ride that bike on a YouTube video, and I make money on that bike. I don't owe a cut of my prize winnings to the bike manufacturer. I see where they're coming from, that there's been a number of developers over the years who have said that streaming has actually hurt sales and not helped sales. So it is a double-edged sword in some cases. Most notably, there was the developer that did that Dragon Cancer back in 2016 said that he believed that streaming had really negatively impacted his sales. Phil Fish, who did Fez, said that that streaming affected his sales in a bad way. I can see, especially for story-driven games, that sales might affect, or that it might be a bad thing to have the stories being played on YouTube. But there have also been a lot of really notable successes that came from streaming. Among Us is the most recent one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like a game that has been out for...
Rocket League was another one that people watched and streamed and now is a freaking esport because of the streaming. So it depends, I guess, on the kind of game that you're making, and also the evolution of the platform itself, of streaming itself. It used to be that streaming was a way that people watched in order to play a game, to decide what they were going to buy. Now people are watching these videos as actual entertainment in and of themselves. Now there is debate, very much debate, about if that is true. I will say, for example, Crusader Kings. Had I not watched that one video of that guy, of Spiffing Brit, doing a YouTube video about making a completely inbred empire of like, breeding mothers to children and children to each other, and laughing my ass off at it, and then saying, what is this game? I never even heard of this game. And then just going into it deeper and deeper. And I have put a lot of hours into this, and I am a true believer in this game. So that is definitely something that turned into a sale. And not only that, it turned into me talking about it to other people for weeks now. So I see their point. I see their concerns, but I also completely dismiss them. I mostly dismiss them.
And honestly, like, I'm going to come up from the other side of this. Like, the argument that you're losing sales. I think with a story-driven game, maybe you can make that argument that people are seeing your story. But if your gameplay is good enough, people who want to play it will still play it.
We'll still play it.
Two, when people go to a streamer, and especially with the argument that it's for entertainment, they are not there for your game.
Yeah.
They are not here to watch that story. That may help, that may draw people in. They are there to be entertained by the streamer. It doesn't matter what they're doing, it's about them. And you should not be paid for that. They are not promoting your game.
Right. They're not going to watch your game for entertainment. They're watching the streamer for entertainment. And it wouldn't matter whether they were playing your game or somebody else's game.
Which is why companies actually pay streamers to do it.
Right. The game is disposable.
They give streamers, basically press copies of the game for free. Like, there is a symbiotic relationship here, and like publishers and developers have recognized that it works both ways. It's one of those situations where, like, if a publisher really wanted to, they could force a streamer to pay a license or prevent them from streaming. Nintendo has done this multiple times before, where they issue takedown notices to be like, don't stream our game. There's a ton of things on the PlayStation that are like, this part of the game cannot be streamed. And you get a little notice when that comes up. Like, developers can control that stuff, but they choose not to, specifically because there's this recognition that there is a benefit in allowing streamers the freedom to stream large portions of their game to an audience.
Yeah, and
it's the reason no one has like taken this to court to force a license is because people like the pendulum where it is. It benefits everyone now. If it swings in any one direction, like, someone will win, but someone else will hurt. And so it's like, well, it's a win-win where it is, so let's just keep it here.
And it's honestly just a lose as far as like press goes for any company that tries to do that. Any company that tries to ratchet down streaming, everyone is going to rally against. Especially if it's a really popular game. Like, if Among Us was like, listen, if you're going to stream our content, you're going to have to pay us, everyone would immediately turn on that game. No one would be happy about it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what would happen is that nobody would play that game online.
Yeah.
They would not only get a backlash, that no one would actually play it and no one would actually stream it. And it actually would present an opportunity for smaller developers to hand it out to streamers and say, please play it online. Please play for streaming.
So in the chat, AC Ray says he has a link waiting if we mention it. with, I think is a reference to Corey Wallace's comment about $7.5 billion. And I'm not sure what the link is, but if you $7.5 billion of something related to this,
right above it, Phil Spencer
I know
says
that. Yeah,
it is
no, I see
possible
that.
to
Recoup $7.5 billion investment if they don't sell Elder Scrolls to PlayStation.
That's a different news story.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, I can get into that. I read that.
One last bit for me on the whole streamer thing. I think if now they tried to make the argument that it's for entertainment and they should get a cut, I think the opposite should have been true. Anytime a YouTuber gave your game free press, you should have paid them.
Paid them.
Well, that argument of like you should give us a license also is really undercut by the fact that publishers pay streamers to do it. Like there's whole system set up of like stream our game for like this credit, and like I think EA had some system of like you have to mention when a game has been provided to you because otherwise it runs into FCC violations. Like the fact that you have these systems of payment and compensation and transparency set up already kind of undercuts the, oh, we deserve to be paid for this because it's, a license right. It's like, well, then why were you doing this other thing? So
and that's more advertisement than necessarily like.
And so like if a company like EA tried to make this argument, I think their past actions in support of it would really undercut that argument. It would require a new developer, a new publisher to make that argument that they are being negatively impacted by it.
Right. But making that statement, and I'm not going to lie, Alex Hutchinson absolutely stepped on it in this one, making that argument, going more to the point of what Andrew said, it exemplifies the hubris and the lack of appreciation for streamers.
Yeah.
Like you said, it says we made the game. We deserve the attention. It's like, the streamer didn't make the stream and spent all that time developing a following. Like the streamer doesn't work for this.
Also,
the streamer has the audience. Your game, yes, it's very nice, but you're not the star of the fucking show, asshole. I'm sorry, you're not.
Also, Jason Schreier followed that up with a tweet that said, well, your point that, the developers deserve the money, the fact is that money wouldn't go to the developers. It would go to the executives, specifically the executives of the publisher who already don't pay the developers that much, who don't get bonuses or royalties.
Right.
They wouldn't see any of this money anyway. So it's not like if they did charge for license, that license would not actually be going to the developer.
Nope.
This is literally someone, I think, like looking at somebody playing the product they made and being like, that's bullshit that they're making money. Like, I should be making this money. Like, not them.
Right. It is so much this really freaking nasty way that people think that it's like somebody's making money and it's not me and I want some. It's like, make another game, dude.
Yeah.
It's not like the vast majority. Right. If you want to, if you think it is so easy to make a stream that actually makes money, that your hard work dominates the amount of work that went into that stream, then maybe you should start your own stream and see exactly how hard it is to make a stream that actually pays you $1, much less a living wage.
Like I've looked into streaming before because I've always been interested in it, and I've never tried really hard to do that because I have appreciated how much marketing there is for yourself streaming, how much you have to be on Twitter, on social medias. If you want, you can make a living off just Twitch, but you want to diversify into YouTube and making other content and being on every day consistently, making sure that you don't, if you want, you get caught into one game and then you're locked into that game. And if you swap, you lose players and revenue. If you play multiple games, the amount of time it takes for your stream to get popular, all of that is an insane amount of work and time. It's called the grind for a reason.
Right. There are literally articles about YouTubers who have gone crazy and committed suicide because they are working 80 to 90 hours a week doing that, just trying to make enough to survive.
I haven't heard about people committing suicide.
Oh yeah. Dude, they had a streamer. Granted, this wasn't a game streamer, but they had a streamer who stormed the Google offices. Stormed the Google offices because they changed the way the monetization, and she brought a gun and shot the place up.
Yeah, no, I mean, this stuff is stressful, and it's
exactly. And I'm sorry, Mr. Hutchinson. I appreciate it is very difficult to make a game, but when you're done with the game, it's over and you get to go on a vacation and get some sleep. A streamer never stops. It can't stop. There is no holiday for a streamer unless you're, PewDiePie, and then you've got, a phalanx of people that take care of stuff for you. But for the vast majority of streamers, whether they're game streamers or non-game streamers, they don't have people. Their people are themselves. And that's what they do 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And if they let up on any of that content, they lose money.
Yeah.
I mean, it is worth mentioning that a lot of developers are in that same situation. Like, I imagine the developers of Avengers at this moment are under a fucking awful crunch. Even after the game has come out. Mm-hmm. But I think the larger point is, like with a lot of industries, the low-level workers are the ones getting that crunch and that grind. And a lot of the people who reap the benefits from such monetization are the people that sort of do the least amount of grind. And that's a system that should change.
There we go. Woman shot 3 people, then killed herself at YouTube headquarters.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean,
the struggle is real.
And if him being a developer, like Nick was saying, I don't begrudge him for wanting more. He is just wanting more from the wrong places. Like,
yes. Also, yes. I know him. He used to work at Ubisoft. He was creative director of Assassin's Creed 3 and Far Cry 4.
Does it surprise you that she used to work at Ubisoft? I'm just saying.
Assassin's Creed 3 is maybe the worst. No, it's not the worst of the series, but there's so much interesting about it. But anyways, he has a career being the creative director, right? He is a top level guy. He's not the top level. But he's the top level. He's the director, right? He's the film director. So he has a lot of people below him. He is someone, it feels like he's the middle manager. So it's interesting to see him making this argument because it seems like he's in that position where he would benefit from this monetization, but at the same time, there's a ton of people below him who would benefit more. And also, like, probably if the larger system changed and that the publishers and executives got less money, he would benefit more from that. It's a situation where everyone working on the game feels like they're fighting for the scraps that the publisher leaves behind. Mm-hmm. And so the situation where the publisher should just take less money and less revenue from it.
Right.
Which will never happen because it's...
And I do want to contrast the grind for a game developer, the lower level game developer, and a streamer is that if it becomes too much, a game developer could ostensibly leave and go to a different company. Streamers do not have that option.
I guess that feels like a false equivalency, though. Like both are in
jobs.
The different jobs, and they're also both like really time-consuming, demanding jobs. Like, I don't want to say which is harder than the other because that feels like you're getting into.
Well, one is more life consuming, I think, than the other. I think that one is way more life consuming.
I don't know. I feel like
one is more of a
depends in
job.
a lot of
The
situations.
other is a business.
It's
a cell phone business.
Right.
Business.
Exactly.
Like you're in charge of your taxes, and
Sure,
you're in charge of all of that.
That still feels like the wrong fight.
Yeah, it
to
is.
make.
It is.
It's the
It is
wrong.
the wrong
It's
fight.
the wrong comparison.
It is. It's not a good place to like. That's why this
Like,
is such an issue.
You don't want those people to fight each other. You want to be punching up, not to the
Right.
side
Right.
or down.
Right. Exactly. So anyway, yeah, that was the first item.
Yeah.
Good to get that
Good
out of the
stuff.
way early. Next, now is me because we're going.
Oh wait, well I
going
will. Do
alphabetical.
you want to mention the Phil Fuck, is it Spencer? Right, Phil Spencer.
Phil Spector.
No, it's Spencer. Yeah, Phil Spencer.
Yeah, no, I know. I'm just saying
was-
Spector would be a much cooler last name.
Phil Spector. Well, no,
Well,
you know
Phil
Phil
Spector's
Spector,
a killer.
right?
He's a
Phil
murderer.
Spector is a murderer.
I did not know that.
Phil Spector was,
he was
the
a
inventor
singer,
of the
right?
wall. No, he was a music producer. Invented the wall of sound in Motown, and he was known for being a real asshole. And eventually, ended up being convicted of murdering his girlfriend. He's a weirdo.
I always get it mixed up. But there was an interview with Phil Spencer. That sort of the most notable thing about it is that the person I don't know where this interview is. I need AC Wraith. You need to link the article because I don't have it with Kotaku. Well, the interviewer asked him specifically, can you recoup the cost of the $7.5 billion purchase of Bethesda while keeping their games exclusive to Xbox? Because a lot of people previously had speculated that's a fuck ton of money, and they probably cannot recoup that while keeping the games exclusive. It's in their financial interest to allow those games to allow the next Elder Scrolls to be on PlayStation because they'll make a lot of money from that. His response is basically, yes, we can. We can recoup the cost of that purchase while not allowing those games on PlayStation. So he didn't say that they will be exclusive, but he just said, yes, they can recoup that cost while keeping them exclusive, which, makes it more likely that they will be exclusive, or at least it's a more feasible option than it was before this interview came out. The fact that they can recoup that says a lot.
Okay, so whether or not they can and whether or not they will make it exclusive is a different argument. I think you can question if he's being honest. Because it's kind of like saying...
I think he is. He's been a pretty upfront guy.
Well, I mean, if someone's like, hey, do you think your company's going to do well? You're not going to be like, no, it's not. If we make this decision, it's clearly a bad decision, and we cannot, succeed. So you're going to say, yeah. You're going to say, yeah, no matter what, we're going to get our costs back. It's not going to matter if we put it on PlayStation or not. We'll make that money back. And I think I imagine he's almost legally obligated to say he can do it. Or that Microsoft can do it. Either that or the profits that they are estimating from Game Pass is going to be gigantic.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're going to be making a ton of money. And they mean ESO specifically or Elder Scrolls?
Elder Scrolls.
Bethesda games. All Bethesda games.
Yeah.
They mean they can keep Bethesda games exclusive while recouping that cost, which, it also is, well, how long of a time frame are we looking at that? Because, are you looking at within a year? Are you looking at within 10 years? Like, those are two very different situations. But like I said, the fact that he thinks they can opens the door to interesting possibilities of exclusivity down the road.
And again, by just saying yes, you can, you've also put doubt and lowered consumer confidence in buying a PlayStation.
Maybe it's just a matter of putting the fear of God into Sony, being like, "Hey, guess what, motherfucker? We can."
That's my point. He doesn't have to promise anything by saying yes, we can to making money, which is why I question.
Sí se puede. Sí se puede. Yeah, no, Bethesda has definitely fired a shot at Sony. And I don't know that necessarily puts a fear of God into Sony, but I know that in general they're concerned about. They've got to be concerned about Game Pass. Got to, especially since Nick says it works and it's kind of cool.
I have always said Microsoft offers the better service. That Game Pass looks really cool, and now I can say from experience it's really cool. And Sony, I mean, I think if you just look at the launch titles, Sony has basically 2 exclusive launch titles: Miles Morales and Demon's Souls. Microsoft has nothing, which says a lot about the situations. Sony has the better first-party games they have for this entire generation. Microsoft has the better service they have for the back half of the generation. At the very least, the new Elder Scrolls being exclusive to Microsoft gives them a first-party exclusive that is actually worthwhile, which is something they have not had for a pretty long time.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
and this isn't like picking up the Studio Rare, which was really popular back in the day. Like, they know Bethesda is going to turn out games, and it's going to bring money in.
People are going to go to Xbox specifically because of Bethesda games, whereas I don't think anybody really was going to buy an Xbox just to get a Rare game.
And they might have back in the 360 days. Like, that was a good purchase, but then they kind of did jack all with Rare, and so they kind of wasted that purchase.
Well, Microsoft, Sony too. They both reversed directions. They bought up a bunch of studios, and then they sold all the studios, and now they're buying back up a bunch of new studios because they realized that was a mistake.
I don't think Sony bought a bunch of stuff. Like, Microsoft definitely did, but Sony's kind of had the same in-house guys for a while.
Sony
Santa Monica has been Sony Santa Monica since PlayStation 2.
True, but that's the in-house stuff. Because I think that
that's what I mean.
They had. I want to say they had a bunch of studios. Maybe they didn't. I could be wrong. But Microsoft bought.
Microsoft definitely let a lot of stuff
years ago. Yeah, they decided they did not want to be in the studio business, and they shuttered all of them. And now that they realized they had made a terrible mistake.
Something kind of attached to this. This is unverified, and I haven't been able to find evidence supporting it. But I have a friend, my sister's boyfriend. He bought the pre-order edition of the special edition of Doom Eternal, and after they had acquired the Bethesda rights and licenses, he says he lost content from that game, which I haven't been able to verify, like, outside of him.
What content would he have lost?
The pre-order stuff, the special edition bonuses, stuff like that.
Why would that?
I don't know. Again, unverified. I can't. Whether or not it's just used.
Like Deathloop and Ghostwire are still coming out on PlayStation, so they're still honoring existing things. So I don't know why that would happen. That's weird.
Yeah, I need to sit down and help them because it could be user error. I don't know.
It could be. And if anything, I feel like that would be more a situation of PlayStation being petty and locking those accesses off than it is Bethesda locking it off.
Yeah, I can see that.
Along those same lines, if you are a fan of PlayStation messages, I am. I use it because replying on my phone is a hell of a lot easier than actually using the soft keyboard to reply when I'm sending messages back and forth. And this is not a news report. This is something that I got in my inbox this week. Got an email that says, thank you for using PlayStation Messages. At the end of October 2020, PlayStation Messages will be integrated into the new PlayStation app. So once again, they are switching apps on us, and it drives me nuts. PlayStation keeps switching apps on me.
PlayStation app system is fucking awful.
PlayStation,
It's
it was
so bad.
originally, what was it? The PlayStation app. Then they switched it into PlayStation and Messages into two separate apps. Now they're going back to PlayStation app. Anyway, PS Messages will be going away. You'll still be able to enjoy the same messaging features and more new PlayStation app, or in the new PlayStation app. Please note that due to this upcoming integration, you will no longer get push notifications from PS Messages when receiving messages sent from PlayStation 4 consoles. So, yeah, if you rely upon, and I do rely upon PS Messages to send me push notifications to let me know when somebody has sent me a message when I'm not online, be aware that by the end of the month, it's going away, and you need to get the new PlayStation app.
Well, that PlayStation app's been there like the entire time. It's just been mostly.
Well, they say
worthless.
it's the new PlayStation app. So either it's
Maybe
the
they're
same
updating
PlayStation
it.
app, or they're updating it to maybe make it more useful.
I hope
Who
they
knows?
update it because the layout of that thing is fucking shit. It's so bad. Also, like, there's a wish list function on that app, and there's not a wish list function on the console store, which bugs the hell out of me. And I will say, maybe you can test this, Edie. The Game Pass app I have for the computer that I downloaded has a wish list function, and it made me so excited, but I don't know if the console does, so I don't want to get too excited. But if it does,
Right.
then that's just one more point for Microsoft of consumer-friendly, like, usability
Right, you can plan out what
features.
you want to buy while you're at work, and then go and even
Also,
that was always the promise. You decide what you want to buy, you tell it to download, and you tell your place. This was a PlayStation thing, PlayStation 5 or PlayStation 4.
I just
You're
want the
supposed to tell
ability
and
to.
it would be downloading at home, but you had to leave your PlayStation in sleep mode. You couldn't turn it off. All these other things you had to do. So
I want the ability to have a collection of games in a list that I can keep track of the prices. To be like, when is this game going on sale?
Yes.
Oh,
And then
it's on sale now.
goes
Okay.
on sale. Buy
using a
and
fucking
download it for
third-party
me,
app.
please. Thank you very
Jesus.
much.
Even
Just
like it was a year ago, even Apple got rid of their wish list function. I don't know why companies do that.
It's honestly the best thing about the Kindle app is that I can on my Kindle app download, and I put a book to my wish list store, and then I can look up the wish list on my computer when I'm like, "Ooh, I'm out of books. I should need to buy one." I can look up on my computer, and it's the same wish list.
Although I will say, in my fuck Amazon opinion, like a month or so ago, they changed how their MP3 store worked so that they no longer have an MP3 cart. I can still access my cart, but I can't add new things into it because it's like they don't want you to have an MP3 cart. They want you to buy each album individually without putting it into another system. And I hate that because I was using the cart has like a wish list of let me collect 10 albums in there, and then everything I'll go there and say, oh, I want to buy these 3. And I can't do that anymore because fuck Amazon taking away MP3 carts. Why?
There's no MP3 wish list.
You can put an MP3 album to your wish list. Like you can create a wish list.
Problem.
Just I had the cart and I had stuff in the cart, and now I can't do that. Like, what the fuck? Why do I have to buy each album individually? Why can't I just go add to cart, add to cart, add to cart, purchase? Why do I have to go purchase, new page, purchase, new page, purchase? Like,
okay. So,
fucking.
have you covered this article? Because Nick's been talking up Microsoft too much, and I need to give them some bad press. And
Okay,
talk
good.
them.
Yeah, take them down. Take them down.
So, everyone knows that Minecraft was bought by Microsoft like 6 years ago now.
Mhm.
And they have officially made it so that you need a Microsoft account to play Minecraft. So previously there was
Facebook route.
Exactly. And there are 2 versions of Minecraft currently out. There is the Mojang storefront, that is the Java edition, and then you have the Microsoft's one that they run on the Windows Store and the consoles. And they are pretty much getting rid of the Java edition and trying to move everyone over to the Microsoft version. And it's you can't say no. They'll basically send you an email and be like, this is how you do it.
by
or you can't
moving
play.
people over, they're like kicking them out of the house and being, go this other one.
Yeah,
Get
and
the fuck out of here.
their argument for this was that instead of putting the effort in to put in a lot of the privacy protections, like two-form authentication, and then the parent controls, stuff like that, they are just going to offload everyone to the other edition. Like, they're like, we're not going to put the effort in for that. You're just going to move, and it'll be fine. And I just think that's shitty. Like, you shouldn't have to sign up for something like that, especially something as old as Minecraft. It's along the lines of the Oculus Facebook stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, just throwing that out there, because Microsoft are still assholes.
Yep.
They're still a big company, even if like the Xbox division is more consumer friendly than the PlayStation gaming division is. They're still a large company that's filled with the typical fuckery of large companies.
Yes.
So in other, terrible fuckery, because why not?
Running theme.
Running through more fuckery. If you have, and I am so glad that I have not bought one, because I would have been really pissed if this was if I'd have got one and this had happened. Oculus, if you have an Oculus Quest 2, guess what? Never delete your Facebook account. If you delete your Facebook account and you have games that you have purchased for the Oculus Quest 2, you delete all of your games. And if you go back on and create a new account, you don't get those games back.
Yeah. So basically, it's completely tied to your account. There's no way to recover it. You're just going to lose the games if you're like done with Facebook.
Right. And I can understand being done with Facebook. I haven't logged on to Facebook in so long because it is a cess pile right now. It's funny. I walked away from it last year and I have gone back on. It's like, how did I do this every day? Because it's just a steaming pile of hate. So yeah, that is a new thing now. Maybe not a brand new thing. Oh, and in addition, if you don't have an Oculus Quest 2, don't think that you're safe. You are very much not. This is coming to all Oculus devices in 2023. So beginning 2023, no matter what Oculus account you have, if you don't have, it is going to be tied to your Facebook account. And if you delete your Facebook account, you will delete your games.
This has always been a problem with like linking content purchases to
other services.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, this is the first time you've had to do that to a social media account.
Right.
Yeah, and like this is the kind of stuff years ago when people were talking about DRM, like allowances and stuff, like always online digital rights management issues. This is where we would get to the point where if you do something a company doesn't like, you no longer get access to what you purchased. It is not yours.
It's not.
It hasn't been for a long time. But now it's becoming.
You're right. This is exactly the horror story that we were talking about when we were talking about DRM and linking accounts, is that what happens if you want to cancel an account and they will take away your games, and everybody's like, that'll never happen. Yeah, it's happened. It's been happening for a while. This just happens to be the most odious one because it forces you to have a Facebook account, which we all know Facebook is not the only, but it's certainly one of the worst as far as taking your information and putting it into the hands of people you don't necessarily want that information in the hands of.
Mm-hmm.
And not only that, like this is also kind of an example of like you took an existing product that people had purchased, the Oculus, and then a company had acquired it, and then was basically like, yeah, any of that content that you had bought before we had even owned it, you will lose that content if we don't like you. Like this is the worst of it.
Yep.
And like always, my friend, when talking about Facebook, sends me the delete Facebook link that because he hates Facebook.
Yeah.
Good for him.
Forget Your Life says I still don't have a Facebook account. Fuck that ass.
Good.
I use it to message family and message people. That's it.
Yeah, I
mean, probably should use it for that more, but I just never go on there. I don't talk to anybody. Even.
Yeah, it is good for messaging people, and that is it. And even with the messages,
like coworkers, for instance, it's a really good use for coworkers because it's public enough that you don't mind giving them your Facebook account and like being friends with them, but it's private enough that if they send you messages, you can just straight ignore it. Like they're not texting you,
right?
Like
Right. I mean, the nice thing about Facebook is just about everybody is on it, which is, a good thing, because if you ever do want to get a hold of someone, and you can always send them a Facebook message, it's the least invasive way of contacting someone. But, when you have Facebook messages and you use it a lot and you have people that are your Facebook friends, so that you could have sent them a message 5 years ago, and then they, speaking from personal experience, go evangelical Christian on you, your Facebook messages start filling up with a lot of unwanted stuff, which just makes you not want to use Facebook messages.
Just purge your friends list. It's good to do.
Yeah, that's hard to do.
As my friend would say, delete Facebook.
Right, except I'm really glad I don't have an Oculus. It's this news, it sells all other VR sets.
Yeah, because I mean, it'll turn your VR headset into a paperweight.
Yeah,
a $200 paperweight.
Yep. So I do want to do VR. I'm absolutely down for that, and I'm kind of waiting for, to be honest, Sony to make a compelling argument for me to purchase a Sony VR.
Basically, make a PlayStation VR 2.
Yeah, and they're going to.
Well, I mean, and to make the PlayStation 5 available, because there's no fucking way I'm going to play that on a PlayStation 4. Even if you could play it on a PlayStation 4,
you can.
I get it.
But also getting the PlayStation VR to work on the PlayStation 5, as we talked about previously, is kind of onerous and a pain in the ass. So
yep.
It's better to just wait. Wait for the all-inclusive
I mean, I'm sorry, but Microsoft really needs to come out with its own VR headset that actually works with PCs and the Xbox Series X.
I mean, they won't, because I think what they've realized is it's honestly not really worth it.
No, the overhead of software is just way better than any hardware they can make.
Yep.
But the hardware just hasn't sold all that much. Like, it's a thing that exists and it's popular. It has its niche audience, but that niche audience isn't growing, and it's just not. It's not an expansive market. Like, there is no VR mainstream. It's always going to be a niche thing. Like, it sort of had its chance to break out, and it just didn't.
Yeah. And I'm going to say I blame Facebook a little bit for this. Oculus was like leading the charge, and it was going to change everything. And then Facebook bought Oculus, and it's like the momentum got killed.
That's why they bought it. They were like, "Oh, this is going to change everything. Let's own it," and then like put our stamp on it.
Right, but then they didn't. But then they let it die on the tree. They didn't really push it further. It's like they got complacent and said, "All right, we made a headset." Thanks.
I think part of that is just like the original requirements of a lot of those early headsets is just too much to ever go mainstream, and only now are they really focusing on the standalone cordless headsets. But at this point, the moment has passed, and it's like, well, hey, you get a cool standalone thing. That's awesome. It could go mainstream, but nobody really cares.
Honestly, VR is a lot of fun. I've watched videos, I've played it, but if you want to get into it, you're better off just getting a computer And there are plenty of like pre-builts that you can buy if you just want to get into VR that can run VR.
Yeah. And you don't need Oculus. There are a ton of third-party headsets that you can buy.
Yeah, Thursday Nick really does need a Facebook account because I mean, if Thursday Nick was going to be anywhere, he'd be on Facebook.
If anyone's gonna sell their information to somebody else or give it away, it's Thursday Nick.
Oh, that's true.
Facebook,
Yeah.
TikTok, and MySpace. So, all right, my next item is, and I'm going to bring it up because it got brought up in the chat. So there was a lot of humor going around at the beginning when there was both the consoles released their form factors for the their architectures, for the external architectures of the consoles. You know, everybody said that the PlayStation looked like a building that would be built in Dubai or somewhere like that, and Snoop Dogg very notoriously likened the Xbox Series X. He said it looked like a refrigerator. So he just recently had his birthday, Snoop Dogg did, and so Microsoft sent Snoop Dogg an Xbox branded fridge that was stacked with birthday cake and gin and juice, and Snoop Dogg did unbox it. And it freaking looks awesome. It's even got like the little brand on the top of it that shows the light. Oh, come on, just play. Oh, come on. There we go. There's the the birthday cake that looked like an Xbox full of gin and juice with some Xbox jewelry inside. They actually put eggs in there. Wow. Okay.
That's very nice of them. They gave him water to stay hydrated, and then breakfast food for when he wakes up hungover. He can make something for himself.
And I love the fact that when you open it, it glows green. It glows Xbox green.
I would get annoyed at that
on brand
so quickly.
Huh?
To be honest, I would hate that. After the first time I opened
is that the actual console?
I think
so.
The
actual console that was in there too?
I think so too. They actually
it looked like
Xbox. Let's see if I can show you the outside. If it goes the outside of it. There we go.
Can you imagine waking up in the middle of the night for a snack?
There it is. There's the refrigerator. I would totally own that. Absolutely, I would own that.
Remember way back when PlayStation 3 came out and Sony was talking about the cell processor and how the cell processor would be in all things, like your kitchen appliances, and that they would work together to make things faster, so that if you got the Sony fridge and the Sony toaster, they would work to make the PlayStation better.
Yeah.
Now you've got the Xbox fridge.
They called it a smart household.
Yeah, the dream of the cell processor was ambitious and never came to fruition.
I see. That is horrifying. I would not own that because I would feel like Microsoft has their hand up me at that point. I'd wake up in the middle of the night and just respond middle of the night and just be remembering Xbox at all times. It would always be in my head, and I'd just be like, no, I can't do that.
I'm not gonna. It's a good looking fridge. It is a good looking fridge. It's got that really beautiful black mat to it. I love the fact that it's got the little glowing thing on the top. The fact that it's got a disk drive, so it's a Series S. Series X. We know that for sure because it had an X. The front actually had a groove for the drive. I just think it's really freaking hilarious. By the way, Snoop Dogg has removed that video off of his channel. I guess Xbox said, please take it down.
Oh.
But it got captured by everybody.
In the chat, Ryan Stevenson mentioned another YouTuber named iJustine, who has a unboxing video of this fridge. And I checked it out, and it literally includes it being placed down by a forklift and her opening a it's yeah.
I kind of want it. I'm not gonna lie.
They need to send him a Wi-Fi router now that looks like a PlayStation.
Oh, that would be good. Has a publicity stunt. This is a really good dumb thing for Microsoft to do.
Yeah. Let's hurry this
Brian
up.
Stevenson mentioned specifically that the groove for the disk drive is the handle to open the fridge.
Oh, that is so smart.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, I'm kind of in love with this thing.
In my nightmares, this is what would be there.
And you're gonna wake up and the fridge is just gonna be like at the foot of your bed, looking over you.
It does give me nightmares of a future in which every appliance that you own is like branded, like hard.
I mean,
branded.
every appliance is branded.
True, but like, I don't need my fridge looking like my console. I don't need my like Wi-Fi router actually looking like my PlayStation. Can you imagine if all your appliances just look like other smaller versions of stuff you own?
All right. So next item.
Okay, I have one quick one that I think is worth mentioning, even though it's not a real news story. It's fake news. It's fake news. There's a picture of Tom Holland as Nathan Drake, and all these news stories say that it's a screenshot of him from the new Uncharted movie, but I'm gonna call that fake news because the existence of an Uncharted movie is fake news. They keep saying that they're making this, but they've been saying that for the past 10 years or so. I don't believe them. They say that they've been filming with a director and, Tom Holland. Is that really Tom Holland, though, or is that just an elaborate Photoshop? We don't know. There's no proof.
Not to mention, Tom Holland leaked it, so odds are good it is real because he will leak just about anything.
He's in on it. He's in on the conspiracy.
This is apparently their 7th director for this movie.
Yeah. That's why I call bullshit.
I'm sorry, Tom Holland.
Uncharted movie.
That breaks my heart. That just breaks my heart.
Why?
Tom Holland.
I think he would be a good Nathan Drake if they were actually making this movie, but they're not.
Who's with me? Nathan Fillion. If they don't make it with Nathan Fillion, they can't make it.
That was a good idea back when they first started mentioning this, and Nathan Fillion was a spry, young-ish man, but the time has passed. Just like the time for an Uncharted movie.
They needed to make an Uncharted movie that was aged up to him. They needed to go further on in the story and start in on the story and just let the story write the story around Nathan Fillion. Because there's nobody else that can do this game. Nobody.
If they made a movie that took the end of Uncharted 4 and continued from there, I think that would be fucking brilliant. Because with
Nathan Fillion.
Yes, because that would have an older Nathan Drake with like a. I don't want to say too much because you haven't played Uncharted 4, but like the way that game ends, you could go forward with the Uncharted series in like a very different direction and character dynamic that I think would be so cool. And they're not doing that, and fuck them for not doing that.
Corey Wallace says this just in: Uwe Boll signs on as 8th director of the Uncharted movie.
Oh God! Hey, at least then you'd know it'd get done. You may not like it, but it would get done.
True. He would make it.
It would happen.
They're like, Uwe Boll is now signed on 3 months later. It's now in theaters. Actually, sorry. Theaters is being a bit optimistic. It would be direct to DVD at that point.
Is to say that this movie isn't going to be direct to DVD if it comes out.
Either Uwe Boll or what's the guy that did all the Resident Evil? Paul Anderson.
Yep. So yeah, there you go. Here's your first look at.
Look, I will say, Tom Holland does very good Nathan Drake cosplay, but that movie's bullshit.
Well, when you have a whole production studio behind you, you can get pretty damn good cosplay.
Wait, what production studio? There's no production studio because there's no movie.
There's no production.
Yeah, he put that together himself. He just found some. He found some ruins in a forest and stood by them.
If this movie comes out, we've got to go see it together.
I would do that. Yeah.
We just have to get, like, fly out, Andrew. Actually, you know what? We'll fly back. It's probably cheaper for us to fly back to Iowa. We will watch it in Iowa. All right. I have two more items. First off, Hideo Kojima has spoken. Hideo speaks and the world listens. And the thing he said that he is working on a new game. That's all he has said.
Okay.
He said in a statement to GameSpot, Kojima Productions, they said they didn't say what it was. They didn't say if it is a Death Stranding 2. They didn't say anything. They just said we're working on something. And that's Kojima. When you're an artiste, you get to do that shit. And everybody goes.
The new banana taped to a wall.
Yeah, pretty much. And we'd buy it. We'd buy it. So yeah, Kojima's working on something. Oh, by the way, they are looking for people to work on it, by the way. They're currently recruiting for roles in their Tokyo studios across several different departments, including game programming, sound design, art, game design, production management, writing, and localization. All applicants must be able to speak and write Japanese fluently.
Makes sense.
I should apply.
Yeah, it makes sense. It's been about a year since Death Stranding came out. This feels about right for the time to ramp up production into a new game.
Right.
I didn't know it had been a year. Like, that game was so hyped.
It's been about that. When did it come out?
It's a little less than a year.
Oh, it came out November 8th. It's 2 weeks away.
Little less than a year.
Wow. This has been a really long year and like a really fast year. I don't know what happened.
A lot had happened in a very short period of time. You know what that's called, Andrew? This is called middle age. All years feel like this from here on out. When you're super young, like a year is forever. And then when you're in your middle age, like in your 20s, the years just go fast. Now, it's this weird mix of the years go really slow and really fast at the same time.
Every day feels super long, but the year feels super short.
Right. There's got to be a German word for that. That's something that the year feels long and short at the same time. It is got to have a word for it. We need a word. And yeah, there's the link for that. Also, in lawsuit news, because it's not a week unless there's a lawsuit. Two Canadian gamers have sued EA Games in Canada as a class action suit over loot boxes, essentially arguing that the game that the EA Games is profiting off illegal gambling and by selling their randomized loot boxes for cash and using Canadian law to do it, which is very different from American law. The Canadian suit was first spotted in a Vancouver "Who's Getting Sued" column, which I want in the United States badly. It's by a web outlet called The Patch Notes, which is a game industry focused law blog, and I am going to start following them now. So the Patch Notes found and uploaded the full notice of civil claim, which contains the full details on the lawsuit. The two lead plaintiffs, one of them is somebody who purchased loot boxes through Madden NFL games, and the other one bought loot boxes through various NHL games. And the suit is being brought on behalf of everyone who has brought loot boxes, because it is a class action suit. That's what they are. You have two lead plaintiffs, and then the rest of the class is everybody else who has been harmed. So the law is citing gambling relevant sections of Canada's criminal code to allege that the loot boxes should also be considered a type of gambling. And it cites other international precedents, such as Japanese and Korean enforcement of loot box regulations, the Netherlands and Belgium's recent laws that have happened over loot boxes, and the loot box inquiries in process in the UK and the US. So, yeah, this is now, but those are all inquiries, and the other, like the FTC inquiries, and those were all, and even in Belgium, it was state agencies that were making determinations. This is the first, I believe, the first actual civil case that has been filed against a game publisher for violating any of these rules. So we'll see.
Also, I saw there's a article to talk about this that mentions I don't have the tab, but it mentioned a game blog, and that blog specifically mentioned a lot of these lawsuits, specifically against loot boxes, are kind of, they're meant to be throwaway. They're just meant to be a pain in the ass and cause like press things. But this is actually one with a solid law backing, backed by an actual law firm with experience taking on larger corporations. It's not just a guy who's not represented by anyone throwing this out there.
Right. Pro persona.
Yeah. This is by a firm that's actually looking to do something. Like, this has a very serious-minded backing to it.
Really surprised that because there are companies that's what they do. This is their bread and butter, is they go out and find classes of people and file lawsuits, because in class action suits, nobody gets rich but the lawyers. Mm-hmm. That's why you get the little notice, hey, you're part of a class action suit over your iPod purchased at this time, between 2008 and 2018. I get those things in the mail all the time. And when there is a settlement, you might get a check for $1.50. And because the vast majority of the amount, the millions and millions in this lawsuit, usually goes, a very large chunk of it goes to the law firms. So there are law firms that's what they do. If you ever see the mesothelioma ads on television, that's law firms that are absolutely doing this shit. And that's where they make their money. And I'm surprised that it took this long for one of those class action lawsuit firms to actually jump on and say, there is a very large class, and this is a very rich corporation.
I mean, they have to be sure they'll win. And loot boxes, as kind of gambling, is gray in most places. Like, that's a tough fight.
Yes, but there is enough international and national law that determinations and inquiries that have been made that adds enough to it. Because, I mean, realistically, these don't go to court. These don't go to settlement. These don't go to judgment. They get settled. So
class
they
action
have
lawsuits get
settled. They settle them.
In general, though, like, I'm not a huge fan of class action lawsuits because it does allow for a company to be punished for doing something poorly, like anti-consumerist or anything like that. But at the same time, it's kind of a get-out-of-jail-free card for them. Essentially, they could be like, all right, we're not going to pay individually people who may have been hurt or harmed by this.
So write a single check, take care of it.
Yeah, and I don't know, I take issue with that in general. But this could have bigger ramifications for loot boxes, which I'm against in most games. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't mind an RNG mechanic in games, especially for loot boxes. Just don't require real money. Don't make it so hard to get that you have to pay real money to get it.
Terry Sweeten just jumped in and says, LOL, who's getting sued? EA's getting sued.
And the article that I mentioned, the blog that I mentioned, is called the Patch Notes.
It is the Patch Notes. That was the ones that found it. Yeah, that's what we're talking about.
Okay. I was checking the Kotaku article, and it's from them.
They're the ones that first spotted it in that identified it and put it in their column, who's getting sued. And that's where everybody started going, oh, hey. So yeah, this is a genuine, real, honest to God lawsuit that is
Might
going
actually
to
do something.
might actually do something, but it's only going to be doing stuff for people in Canada. I don't know that it would apply to people in the US.
If because it's all North America, if they have to significantly change their system for Canada, it might also change it for the US.
It would, right, no, but if there was a class action lawsuit based on Canadian law, people in the US, that law doesn't apply to. So there would have to be a US lawsuit. However, if they do get a settlement, or if this, under like
Oh yeah,
extreme
a settlement
circumstances
would.
goes to
Yeah.
judgment, that's why they're going to settle. Because if it goes to judgment, then then US firms and firms all over the world can use that judgment as evidence of the wrongdoing in other countries. That's why they have to settle, so that there's no judgment, so that everybody can't like leapfrog off of the work of others to prove that EA is wrong.
I misheard you. Yeah, if they settle, that's only Canada. If it actually got to the point where EA had to change some back-end system, then that would affect all countries.
Right, it would
But
affect all
but
countries.
they
An
won't
actual
let it get
lawsuit,
to that point
yeah.
because they
They
don't want
don't
to have
dare.
to do that.
They don't dare, because if you don't think that there are any of those ambulance
Ambulance
chasing,
chasers?
yeah, the class action chaser law firms that aren't sitting there and watching that, if this goes to judgment, then you're going to have a swarm around the world of class action suits over loot boxes that apply to their individual country. And every single time that there is a judgment is more evidence of wrongdoing. And it will be harder for them to settle, be more expensive later because it'll be harder to settle. And they don't dare go to judgment, because every time they go to judgment, it just piles on the evidence against them for future suits.
Yeah.
There you go. So that's the last thing I got. Anybody else?
Yeah, thankfully you brought this up, so it reminded me of just the new argument for Epic versus Apple
Mm-hmm.
and their lawsuit. Apparently, like, a lot of Apple's arguments has been that by trying to make their own in-game purchasing system, they are stealing from Apple. And so Epic has tried to turn this against them and be like, you do not... let me find the exact quote here. Epic says Apple has no rights to the fruits of Epic's labor, and that's their argument. Essentially, Epic designed the game, Epic Studios made the game, all the art assets, everything behind it, and they just put it on their platform. They're not stealing anything from wanting the money that they're rightfully due, and that has been their attack for this. If this works, that argument could be used very broadly for a lot of things.
For things like publishers.
Yeah.
That argument would absolutely be applicable to publishers like Epic.
Not so much, because with publishers, the whole point of them is distribution, right?
That's fair.
That's what a publisher. Well, and also the thing about a publisher is, a publisher puts the money up front. A developer pitches a game. A developer says, "Yes, I'll give you the money to make that game," and then they get it. So that relationship is different than someone hosting.
Not always.
No, not always.
Many
But generally
times the
speaking,
studio makes the game and then goes to a publisher. And in those cases, it would absolutely be applicable.
Kind of.
It is very difficult to argue that in many ways the Apple is not publishing, but they're publishing to their own, secret garden of.
Yeah, there is an element
devices.
of distribution.
The distribution.
To what they're doing.
Absolutely, they are distributing to this thing right here.
But with a publisher deal, publishers typically handle like events, advertising, all of that, where developers just make the product. Like, they make the game.
Yeah, like there is an element of advertising, which Apple sometimes does for some games, but
often they probably have to pay for it. Like, essentially their argument is Apple's doing nothing except existing, and they get 30% of the revenue that we get through the game.
Yeah.
They have no right to that. It's not theft to want to put our own system in place.
Question.
Yeah.
Would you equate the iTunes store to the Steam store? Because Steam takes a cut.
Yes, they do, and they should probably they probably should take a smaller cut. And as we've seen, they've introduced systems to take smaller cuts in order to avoid this whole system. In Steam's an argument that Steam might have that Apple doesn't is that Steam has been working on discoverability and introducing various methods for players to find games, right? You have I forget the term for it, but like players can create recommended lists. They have their own recommended lists. So there's an element that they're trying to create some sort of advertising. Features.
Right, but that's features.
But that's more than what Apple has done.
Right. Apple just chosen not to add features, but it's arguable that Steam is also requires you to pay a fee to release to their walled off secret garden of users.
Okay, yeah, and they probably shouldn't charge 30% for that. Like, even 30% then, is too much.
The argument that can be made is that... Sorry, go ahead.
Same thing goes for PlayStation and Microsoft Store.
Yeah, I think that's more closely to the Apple stuff. But with Steam, you have the option of not joining Steam. If you develop a game and you find a way to promote it, people could go to a website and download it individually. Steam allows for that discoverability for people to find your game. Whereas with Apple, if you want it on iOS, you don't have a choice but to pay them. Like, they can do nothing. And it'd be more like if PC, Windows, which is known for making a corner on the gaming market, like, if you want your game to do well, you kind of have to put it on Windows. If they're like, okay, to play it on Windows, you have to pay us. That would be closer to Apple. Because you can't just...
All right.
Yeah. Which I think people would have an issue with. If you couldn't develop for PC without paying Microsoft money, wouldn't that be a big deal?
Mm-hmm. And
actually, because
Tim Sweeney of the guy in charge of Epic was like, when Microsoft first came out with their Microsoft Store, he was ringing the bell of like, this can lead us to disaster. This is fucked up. Everyone, watch out for this. And the Microsoft stores turned out to be a whole lot of nothing. But if they actually wanted it to be, they would run into a similar situation.
And Blood Reaper mentions that apparently Apple has done a lot for Epic, like put a billboard in Times Square, fast track a lot of the apps. And I think the argument would come down to how much is Apple increasing the profits of Epic by being a partner rather than just somebody they have to pay to get it on iOS. Like, how much are they enriching the game other than just being on the platform? I don't know.
Not for us to determine. That's a legal argument that is way above my pay grade.
It's just another long list of, what are they doing now? Apparently it's set to go to trial sometime in the summer of 2021. And that's when we'll start getting answers.
So long. Jesus.
I know.
And yet so short. Come on, summer 2021 is going to be here very soon.
Yeah, we might be out of quarantine by then. Might.
That's a reach.
That's why I said might.
That is a reach. Question.
I might be a millionaire by 2021.
True.
I doubt it. But
good. Yeah.
I might.
Question. Totally unrelated to anything, but since we brought up the quarantine and when we will be out of quarantine. If they released a COVID vaccine tomorrow that they said is perfectly safe, it's absolutely safe. We've tested it in trials. Somebody, some company.
I'm assuming got FCC approval.
Who so says
the government would say it's safe.
Right. That the government, the CDC, right. The CDC says it's safe. It's gone through trials. We've approved it. They've been fast tracked. They've done all the trials that they asked them to do. We show it to be effective. We show it to not have significant side effects. Would you take that vaccine tomorrow?
No.
Somebody shows up at your house with a needle. Or
Hell no.
They're offering
Hell
it. Okay, maybe not that. Maybe not that. Maybe they're offering it at
What is the guy like?
CVS. They're offering it at CVS down the street.
His hand's shaking. I got a needle for you.
This will protect you from COVID, man.
Okay, maybe not. Let's say that it's at the CVS down the street. We now have the COVID vaccine.
No.
I'd do research.
Not.
I wouldn't just get in my car and be like, let's go do it. I'd do research first.
I would wait a solid month to see the actual results.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
And there's your answer about maybe we might be out of quarantine. There's your answer.
No, because the truth is, it's not about whether or not I trust a vaccine to exist. It's about whether or not I trust the people saying the vaccine is a vaccine. It's about that. I don't trust if someone put out a vaccine today, I don't trust that it would actually work or actually be a vaccine. I think that it would be a ploy, a political ploy.
Ooh, that's very cynical. No, I think if a vaccine came out tomorrow, I would believe that it was a vaccine.
If the CDC said we have a vaccine, I would look at who said that, and I would suspect that it was Trump and the White House pressuring the CDC to say this vaccine is effective.
Okay,
and pushing it out on people.
Let's say it's November 4th after the election. Say that the election is not part of it.
I still don't trust that it wouldn't be a political ploy.
First of all, before we get to that point, before even the government could endorse it, it'd have to go through the FDA. It would have to go through numerous human trials that you could look up the results for. You could look at the peer-reviewed research before it would get to the point where it was mass-produced and to the public.
Right.
So there are systems in place that there should be at least a little bit of trust, but you should probably do your own research. Maybe if you're really cynical.
There are enough systems in place that I am 95% confident that if someone said they had a vaccine tomorrow, they have not gone through those systems.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Those systems take time, and no one putting out a vaccine tomorrow could have gone through those systems in any significant or legitimate way.
And if he's showing up with a needle at my door, no.
I mean, actually, if that happened, yeah, I'll take that one.
Yeah. And I am 100% like, vaccinate the crap out of me of everything. But even if they had a new vaccine that came out for this, I would hold off, even if I thought it was 100% legitimate. Even if I knew it went through all the trials it needed to, it didn't bypass anything. The peer reviews were good. Everything else said it was good. I would still hold off because clinical tests are not the same thing as widespread millions of people getting it. Sometimes, things side effects that don't present themselves when you give it to 20,000 people, when you give it to 80 million people, then all of a sudden it's like, oh, hey, there's this thing we didn't see in the clinical trials. It's all of a sudden coming up because there's so many more people in this bigger trial.
Well, it's not only that.
I would wait for the general public trial to be finished.
Basically, everyone else can die first if they're going to die.
And I say that as someone that it's like, oh, but you need to take the vaccine so we can get rid of COVID. And I don't distrust vaccines, but I
mean, just in general, like it's gonna have interactions with medication, other vaccines,
genetic oddities going on inside of you that wasn't part of the trial study.
All vaccines have a certain risk. Like there are people who, even with normal vaccines like measles, have terrible reactions. I mean, that's often the argument used against it.
Right.
But at some point, you're going to have to kind of close down the empathy and the humanity and be like, all right, what is the percentage of
Well,
risk
it's not
to
just
this?
that. You just need to test it, and it just needs time to be tested, and that's why we don't have a vaccine now, and that's why typically vaccines don't come out, a year after the disease. It takes a while because you have to go through that testing. Like, it's just a matter of time and testing and effort, and we just haven't gone through that. Like, once they put one out, given the proper amount of time, I fully trust the vaccine. Like, I would take it. It's just I need to be reassured that it's not a political ploy.
Yeah. Forget Your Life says it's already a political ploy. Yeah, unfortunately.
Well, yeah,
there has to be a healthy amount of skepticism to it.
10% fail rate for vaccine in the USA is still 38 million.
And that may not be like the number that's acceptable. It could be 0.01%, which is still an amount. It is still people being hurt, but
yeah, it's as my mom used to say, is that, it might be a 0.00001 fail, but if you're the one who fails, it's 100%.
Yeah.
I mean, you will have to accept that risk.
I just was kind of asking because, not that I was trying to make a point or anything. I was doing my own little study of people that watch this show and, my friends in the podcast and my friends in the chat room, of like, what do you think about this? Because I'm struggling with that. I am all about the science, 110%. But at the same time, it's like, am I going to be the first one to take it? It's like,
okay,
I don't know.
What does Dr. Fauci say?
That's right. Oh, Fauci. That man, gotta love that man.
I mean, but even
the patience of Solomon. Oh my God. God, the fact that he has not just slammed, like rage quit that whole thing.
That's actually a really good term.
He probably has such a moral dilemma, like personal health of just like, I don't want to deal with this, and there are people who need to hear this. Like, I do not think I'd be strong enough. I'd back out and just be like, done. You guys deal with this.
That's right. I am just gonna go somewhere where COVID's not, and you guys all fix your own shit. I would have walked out a long time ago. There are a lot of people who have walked out of this and was like, you know what? Your circus, your monkeys. Fauci says findings on a potential coronavirus vaccine are expected early December, but widespread availability will come later.
I mean, potential findings on a potential vaccine is like a good step. That's not we have it in hand and we're ready. That's like, hey, we found something that works and we want to try it more. So yeah. Anyways, speaking of politics, to somewhat turn it back into games, one of the biggest news stories of the past week is that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
Yes, AOC.
Yes, better known as AOC, had a Twitch stream in which she played with a bunch of popular streamers as a means to like get out the vote. But what's impressive is that I guess she tweeted out on Monday, like, does anyone want to play Among Us on Twitch to get out the vote? And like by Thursday, she had set up a system to actually do that. And I guess what's impressive is that her team actually went to popular streamers, not just to say, hey, will you play with me, but also like, how do you deal with moderation and all that stuff? So they, instead of just trying to do their own thing, they actually went out to people who know what the fuck they're doing and got good advice. And the result was a stream that went off like extremely successfully. I think her channel alone, which is actually a new channel, had like 436,000 concurrent streamers at its max, which is the top 3 for a single channel. And I guess combining with other people got it up to around 600,000 concurrent streamers, which is really impressive. And also the stream was just really fun. I think like in the beginning and end, she mentions like voting and stuff, but for the most part, the stream is just them playing games. Yeah, it's just them playing games, and like it was a genuinely entertaining and fun thing. Yeah. To see a politician engage with a piece of pop culture in a way that doesn't feel manufactured or staged is impressive. Like it's a genuine moment of just humanity and being human and just kind of having fun with people.
Right.
So,
and she was a decent player. She wasn't bad at it.
Yeah. There were a lot of fun moments of seeing her lying to people and seeing her struggling with having to kill people.
Right.
As any good politician should. Just take a soundbite of that.
Yeah.
And also figuring out who else was lying, as a good politician should.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was struggling lying to people and killing them. That's it. Just that clip.
She actually struggled with killing people and lying to them. Who does that?
And when people got spaced instead of her, she felt really bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
and I guess
seriously fun stream.
Yeah, and at a certain point, Ilhan Omen or Ohan?
Mm-hmm.
Ilhan Omen, another congresswoman joined into the stream as well.
Oh, did she really?
Yeah.
Oh,
so they were playing with them at some point.
I have a friend.
Ilhan in the chat is the other congresswoman, but I can't pronounce her other. I don't know how to pronounce her last name. It's either like Omen or Ohan.
Okay,
Omar. I was close.
I have a friend who just bought the game, and I'm going to get her into it. Would you both be willing to buy the game and trying it out as well? Like,
yeah, I bought the game. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, good.
We will totally do that, and we will totally stream it.
I'm gonna try to get a few more people in on this, but I want to try to make it kind of a close group of friends that I know, and like so that we don't get any random people in there that might kill the vibe. That happens occasionally with Among Us. There are some people who take it personally.
Which brings me to my next news story.
Mm-hmm.
After this, there was a mass Among Us hack that I guess used bots to force players to advertise the guy's YouTube channel and was like a Trump 2020 thing. And Kotaku actually talked to the person whose YouTube channel was mentioned, and he took credit for the hack. And he, in his responses to Kotaku, he basically just sounds like your typical shit-headed troll of
douche.
Yeah. You got upset? That's so lame.
That's right. You got upset.
Yeah.
It's so lame. And it's the developer's fault that they had this backdoor that I could find. They were asking for it because they were wearing. Would you see what they were wearing?
Fuck that guy.
Fuck that guy.
Yeah.
And yes, he was genuinely pro-Trump. So, did I think I have notes on this. So, the name of I'm not even going to mention the name of the
I purposely didn't do that.
The hack would spam text chat messages advertising a streamer and then threatening to damage your phone if you don't subscribe, and it ended with Trump 2020 as the message. The hack became very widespread very, very quickly, and some players estimating that it had afflicted hundreds or even thousands of matches. So Innersloth, the developer, issued a statement via Twitter that said it was super duper aware. That's their words. Super duper aware of the issue. They announced an emergency server update and encouraged players to stick to private games in the meantime. The programmer Forrest Willard later explained that the update had taken some time so as to avoid false positives to prevent the game from wrongly identifying a hack. And most players are, of course, playing the game that it was meant to be played. But yes, that Innersloth has implemented a hot fix, and it has mostly eliminated the problem. Maybe not entirely, but it has mostly eliminated the problem. So yeah, and the hacker says they deserved it because they left the back door open, and fuck you guys. I think it's just so funny that you're like all upset because I hacked your game.
It's just typical troll people. Like,
douche. What a flaming D-bag. It's your own fault your car got broken into because you had a window, dude.
Drive a box.
Anyway, so anything else?
Yes, I have one more fun news story.
All right.
Microsoft. Oh shit! Did I close the tab? No, I didn't. Okay. So back several months ago, Dave Bautista was put into Gears of War 5 as a skin, so you could play him as a multiplayer skin, which made a lot of sense. Like, it was a good fit. He was a fan of the game, and also he looks like someone who could exist in the Gears of War universe. He's a big guy, and he fits with like the cartoon proportions of the Gears universe. But Microsoft put in another patch for the game that actually lets you swap Marcus Phoenix with Dave Bautista, which includes a complete redo of Marcus Phoenix's voice and voice acting with Dave Bautista. So this is for Gears 5, in which Marcus Phoenix is not the playable character. He's an NPC and he appears in some cutscenes. He's a supporting character. So this isn't like replacing the main character of a game like some other games have done. But also, unlike Spider-Man, you can choose this. Like, this is an option that you can swap in and out. You can be Marcus Phoenix as it usually is, or you can be Dave Bautista. But in the cutscenes that Marcus Phoenix appears, it'll be Dave Bautista, a CG actor, you know, in it with his voice. Like, he actually re-recorded all the lines. And yeah, it's just, if you're going to replace the face of a character in a game, this feels like the better way to do it. A, you're giving people a choice to choose it, and B, like, there's an existing relationship between that actor and the game, and just a general better fit of like, oh yeah, Dave Bautista being Marcus Phoenix, like, that works. Like, there's a logic to that.
And honestly, like, for me, if I was famous, this is what I'd use my famous powers to do. Like,
to get yourself cast in the games that you like.
Yeah, just do whatever I want. Like I'll donate some time to do that. Like, yeah.
Yeah, and it makes sense because the model was already in the game for multiplayer, and so they just used it to. It's not like they created a new model from scratch for this. But it's also worth mentioning, I think this is only going to be for the Series X upgraded version of Gears 5. So this isn't just going to all versions of Gears 5.
Okay. Still, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, it's a cool addition, and it's interesting to see this contrasted with the Spider-Man one, where everyone's like, "Why the fuck did you do this?" To this, where the response is generally, "Oh yeah, that makes sense. That's cool."
Yeah, well, because no one was expecting it. No one thought, like, man, we need a younger looking, great value Tom Holland.
Yeah, and part of that is the change that they made. It feels like it didn't fit the character. Was Dave Bautista makes a good Marcus Phoenix.
Yeah,
and the reasoning behind it is better because Insomniac, Insomniac gave a lot of like weird explanations of we want it to better fit the actor and to be a better, more updated model for the PS5, but then they only did that one face. Was with Microsoft and Gears 5, they're just like, yeah, we thought it would be cool.
We thought this would be freaking hilarious to do, so we did
it. We thought it'd be fun. He was down for it, we were down for it, and we did it, which makes sense.
Yeah, I think that's all people want. They don't want some like corporate response. They're just like, give it to us straight.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good stuff. Solid use of famous power.
Yeah.
That's it for me.
All right, that's it for me. I think that was a good show. Solid show, guys. What you going to be playing next week, real quick?
Ghost of Tsushima, if someone picks it up.
Okay, I will pick it up.
Sorry. No, that's my bad.
I mean, I'll play it too.
And it's screenshots like this means I'm never going to run for office.
Oh no, you should show our famous the screenshot we took before we started the show.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh God, I gotta find it.
This is for you viewers who are watching on the YouTube, Facebook, or Twitch feed.
Right? Yeah. So things that happen before the show.
Yeah. What about the Warframe marathon stream? When are we doing that?
Oh, that sounds like fun.
After the Ghost stream, and then we get back into Tom Clancy's Division 2, and then we'll move on to Warframe. Hopefully nothing comes out in the meantime that's worth it.
Oh, nothing's coming out like in the next couple months, right?
Oh,
it's all kind of dead.
Yeah, I mean, next month is just useless.
Yeah, what was it? What was the name of the giant from Goonies? Oh,
I have no idea.
Somebody will remember, huh?
Wasn't it like Gronk or something?
Something like that. It was, what was it? What was the name of the character
Chunk.
from Chunk? Was it Chunk? No, Chunk was the name of the kid.
Oh, damn.
Somebody in the chat room what was the name of the guy that
the only thing we got to change is the lighting. Like, I'm too lit up.
I need an actual light. I've been dark this entire time.
Yeah, I need to get you a light. Sloth, thank you.
That's it.
Yeah, Sloth.
I mean, I think I look like Sloth in general. This helps, though.
I turn off the lights. I'm still a little dark. You've got a blue hue to you that I can't match.
That's just my skin tone. Thank you.
Also, do it again? You can do it again.
It still doesn't match.
My face is a little gigantic.
Oh, Nick has to move closer. Move closer. Move closer. Nick, move your chin down. There we go. And now smile, Nick. Fucked up. This is why our streams go on way the fuck too long. All right. So as a reminder, do not forget, if you liked this channel, even if you hated the channel, go ahead and hit a thumbs down. But if you liked what we've done today, hit the thumbs up button right now. I know there's 7 of you in the stream, and I don't know how many likes we have, but we need to have all 7. What? Somebody say something?
Yeah, AC Ray says it's the big sexy blue eyes.
They emit their own light. Chunk. No, Chunk was the name of the kid. Sloth was the name of the character, of the big giant character. So anyway, yes, please hit the like, hit the subscribe, hit the notification bell. If you're on Twitch, please subscribe to us. It does really, really make a difference for us. We've been doing this video thing for a while, and no, I am not turning my life into a 24-hour, 7-day a week streaming thing. I know that is a path that I do not want to go down, but we would like to get this out to more subscribers. So please feel free, like, subscribe, hit the notification button. Make sure when I say like, it means the thumbs up on YouTube, and subscribe to us. If you are away from home and you want to listen to us on just as an audio show, we do simulcast this as a podcast, both live audio and as a podcast. So, and also, of course, don't forget, we do have our Patreon, patreon.com/GameHounds. We only ask for $1 a month. And what that does is that subsidizes all the software and all the extra costs for this video thing. We've been paying for 13 years now for I've been paying for it. The audio show, and I don't see any reason why I can't continue to do that. But for the video stream, it does cost us money. We do have subscription costs that are a little over the top, but we wanted to do it. So $1 a month, all we ask. Patreon.com/GameHounds. It is deeply appreciated. And to all of our patrons, thank you, thank you, thank you. I am actually going to, now that we have these banners kind of sorted out, I'm going to create a banner that is just your names because you deserve it. So until next week, let's
I have one new story to end on an intense cliffhanger for the future.
Yes.
Entomologists in Washington have recently discovered the first nest of Asian giant hornets, aka
the
murder hornets, intensifying fears that they could become established and threaten the bee population. Thankfully, thankfully, they will destroy it on Saturday, which is just in the nick of time because the hornets were preparing to reach their slaughter phase very recently. So the murder hornets have not disappeared.
This is terrible
because that would be bad. If those murder hornets get down here, I mean, bad enough it's in Washington State because it's an agricultural place, but if they get down here, your food supply is fucked.
The murder hornets were teased way back in the start of the summer.
Exactly. People thought the writers were crazy. Yep. They were just throwing random shit out of there for 2020, but no, it is all going to come back in the season finale.
See, it's it's all going to come around.
Will we get to 2021? We don't know.
They were just teasing it. They were laying the groundwork early on so that when murder hornets came up, people weren't like, "What is this thing out of nowhere?" No, they've been
this
teased.
Is why
they're still there.
It was foreshadowing. That's it.
This is like the White Walkers being teased at the end of each season finale of Game of Thrones. They're still there. Just FYI, always in the background, always waiting.
Pulling up, might as well, because it's a thing. We might as well actually talk about the murder hornets.
I just want to end it on a cliffhanger. Like, they're there. They're here. Still a threat. Still a threat.
There they are. Murder hornets.
2020 can still throw new things at us. It ain't done yet.
Yep. But they isolated the murder hornet's nest and they got it out. And hopefully that was the last of them. But it's probably not. And they're all
fucking.
They're going to walk away and it's going to pan to one murder hornet coming out of the ground.
The murder hornet boss.
The queen had gotten away.
I like that. It comes out of the ground and then flies away. But first its wings come out of the ground.
And then it fades to black.
Yeah.
Before it comes out.
No. You always do a hard cut to black.
Yeah, exactly.
For a tease like that, it's always just boom, black.
Mm-hmm. And then roll credits.
Yeah.
So yeah. Anyway, let's shall we go? God, we got 10 comments now.
The returning final boss after the 2020s defeated. Yeah. They're the real fun boss. Every JRPG, you always defeat the antagonist, and then you go on to fight like fantasy god. That's Murder Hornets. Yeah. Murder Hornets will be the final boss of 20. COVID has been the main antagonist for most of the year, but it's not really yet. Murder Hornets were behind COVID the entire time.
Yeah, Forget Your Life says, I preferred the audio-only style before YouTube. The show was much tighter. Yeah, it has gotten way looser, and that was my fear with going this way. But
is that because of video?
Let's do it.
My only argument for that
is because of video or Andrew?
It's because of video.
I'll take some credit for it. I don't mind. This is all I've known, so this is all this is the right way to do it.
Anyway, all right, so let's close this out. Whoop, no, not that one. God dang it, here I am. I'm fucking we're talking about being tighter, now I just made a huge mistake. All right, anyway,
and I had to share.
All right,
I couldn't let that go.
Let's close this out. Wait,
are you sure?
Let me mute Nick and Andrew, and then we'll close this out.
Can you hear me? Can anyone hear me?
I can hear you.
Oh yeah, okay, good. I'm still talking.
I
think we should keep going. When do you want to do this among us?
GameHounds episode 568.
I bought it.
We
A
recorded
couple
this
weeks
on
ago.
October
I talked
25th,
with Andrew about it. I
2020.
was.
I've been Edie Sellers,
I
and
had
with
like
me has been Nick
$7
DiNicola and Andrew
worth
Smith.
of Steam
Ways to get a hold of
money,
us is
and
gamehounds.net. It's our
the game
website.
was only
And
$5, so it was a perfect fit.
gamehounds@gmail.com is our email.
No, nothing.
We record this show live at 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern on Spreaker. That's speaker with an R, Spreaker.com. You can also watch us do this
I'm
show
still
live on
video.
YouTube, Twitch, and
That's
on
good to know.
Facebook. On YouTube, it is GameHounds Vids. That's VIDS as in videos. On Facebook, it is GameHounds, the GameHounds, and on YouTube, it is on Twitch, it is the GameHounds. So yeah, listen to us at any of those places. And then in addition, if you want to listen to us as a podcast after the fact, you can go to Spreaker and download us or stream us. You can also go to iTunes, iHeartRadio. I believe we're on Google and Alexa devices. We are on Spotify now. So just go to any of those sources and look for GameHounds Podcast. If you listen to us on any of those sources, please leave us feedback. And even if you're watching on watch the show, the actual video show, leave us feedback. It really does help, not only with the algorithm, but also it helps us make the show better. Thanks so much for being here, everyone. I still have Nick and Andrew muted, but they're giving me a thumbs up and they're like sending me hearts and love visually. And we will be back next week. Have a great week, everyone. Bye-bye.
It's censorship.
Be safe.
This is oppression.
I'm a fucking professional, assholes.
Although apparently
fucking professional.
Wait, can you hear me now?
Oh, I could always hear you.
Oh, okay, because AC Ray said in the chat that you can still hear us on video.
You can hear us on video, but I killed you on the audio stream.
Oh, okay.
I didn't kill you on the video stream. I am a goddamn professional. I did all of that with you in my head talking, not distracting me.
Good. That's good.
I am in the zone, man.
Although, can you hear Andrew?
I can hear Andrew.
Oh, because I can't. So you can hear both of us, but we can't hear each other?
Andrew's muted.
He muted himself. Yeah.
Oh, I'm okay.
I could remove you from the stream, but I just,
that was impressive. That was really impressive.
Yeah. You're talking in my head the whole time, heard every word.
I thought I was muted, so I was just rambling.
Nope.
I thought I wasn't.
You were not muted to me, and you were not muted on the video stream. You were muted on the audio stream.
I just assumed that I was a head with my mouth flapping, and I was like, yeah, that's a good visual.
No, I was hearing you the entire time, which is why I was busting up laughing and I wasn't saying anything. Like I was like, I'm not gonna interrupt in case Edie can hear me. I will.
I am a professional asshole. I'm a professional asshole who knows how to deliver the end of a show. Just
that's good. Someone
flip a switch and go into announcer mode. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for being with us again on the audio stream. You put up with a lot. I appreciate it. And please do be safe. Please wear your mask. Please wash your hands. Please keep your hands out of your eyes and nose. And just, social distance. Because
Ryan says you actually use the mute button.
I do. I actually use the mute button. I can use the mute button whenever I like. I have the power. All right. So everyone, take care. Have a great week and be safe. We'll talk to you next week. Bye-bye, everyone.